So Jeremiah chapter 37, Jerusalem's last days. Zedekiah, son of Josiah, reigned as king in the land of Judah in place of Coniah, who, if you go back to Jeremiah 22, verses 23 through 30, we find out what happened to him. Also note that he only reigned for 3 months before going into captivity. It was not very long. Son of Jehoiakim, for King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon made him king. He and his officers and the people of the land did not obey the words of the Lord that he spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Nevertheless, King Zedekiah sent Jehukal, son of Shelemiah, and Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, the priest, to prophet Jeremiah, requesting, "Please pray to the Lord our God on our behalf." First of all, how does that work? Right? How does that work? Pray to the Lord our God on our behalf. Why can't you do it? That would be my first question. But, I'm not Jeremiah. Jeremiah was going about his daily tasks, or was coming in and going out among the people, for he had not yet been put into prison. Pharaoh's army had left Egypt, and when the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, who were besieging Jerusalem, heard the report, they withdrew from Jerusalem. The word of the Lord came to the prophet Jeremiah. "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. This is what you will say to Judah's king, who is sending you to inquire of me." They hadn't yet come yet. They hadn't yet come to ask him. But God was like, they're on their way to ask you, and this is what your response is going to be when they ask you this question. Watch. Pharaoh's army, which has come out to help you, is going to return to its own land of Egypt. Right? So that's what happened up here. The Chaldeans will then return and fight against the city. They will capture it and burn it. This is what the Lord says. Don't deceive yourselves by saying the Chaldeans will leave us for good, for they will not leave. Indeed, if you were to strike down the entire Chaldean army that is fighting with you, and there remained among them only the badly wounded or the pierced men, each in his tent, they would get up and burn the city. So basically, they're going to lose no matter if only a few survive. No matter what, they're going to lose. Don't play yourself. Jeremiah's imprisonment. When the Chaldean army withdrew from Jerusalem because of Pharaoh's army, Jeremiah started to leave Jerusalem to go to the land of Benjamin to claim his portion there among the people. But when he was at the Benjamin gate, an officer of the guard was there, whose name was Erijah, son of Shelemiah. Bro, he had a lot of sons. Son of Hananiah. And he apprehended the prophet Jeremiah, saying, "You are defecting to the Chaldeans." I've never heard this word. I've heard of defect. I know what that means. But defecting? So I had to look it up. So Erijah was accusing Jeremiah of going to join the Babylonians, defecting to leave one situation often to go over to a rival. "That's a lie," Jeremiah replied. "I'm not defecting to the Chaldeans." Erijah would not listen to him, but apprehended him and took him to the officials. The officials were angry at Jeremiah and beat him and placed him in jail in the house of Jonathan the scribe, for it had been made into a prison. So Jeremiah went into a cell in the dungeon and stayed there many days. And the thing is, it's not surprising because they had been finding all kinds of ways to try to unalive him. So they were like, you know what, since we can't do that, let's just say that he's going to the other side and he's going to be a traitor, an enemy of us, and put him in prison. Jeremiah summoned by Zedekiah. King Zedekiah later sent for him and received him, and in his house privately asked him, "Is there a word from the Lord?" Really? And it made me think that that's really why they imprisoned him, because he was going to leave, and they were going up here. Remember, Zedekiah wanted to ask Jeremiah to pray to God on their behalf. So now he's been in prison, and now Zedekiah's like, well, since you're in jail, let me go ahead and ask you. "There is," Jeremiah responded. He continued, "You'll be handed over to the king of Babylon." Then Jeremiah said to King Zedekiah, "How have I sinned against you or your servants or these people that you have put me in prison?" He said, "First, I'm going to tell you what the Lord said. But now I want to know, why am I in jail? What did I do? What did I do against you? Where are your prophets who prophesied to you, claiming the king of Babylon will not come against you and this land? So now please listen, my lord the king. May my petition come before you. Don't send me back to the house of Jonathan the scribe, or I will be unalive there." Yeah. And so I made some notes here. still respected him in spite of. So, he still said, "My Lord, the King," still out of respect. Even though he's like, "Why am I here? What am I here for? Like, for what?" So King Zedekiah gave orders, and Jeremiah was placed in the guard's courtyard. He was given a loaf of bread each day from the baker's street until all the bread was gone from the city. So Jeremiah remained in the guard's courtyard. And that's it. That was pretty short and sweet, but yeah. I did make a note here that Zedekiah has some sense and humanity for Jeremiah, even though Jeremiah was like, "Yeah, you'll be handed over to the king of Babylon. Like, y'all are going to lose real bad." And it was funny because it said, "Were your prophets who prophesied to you claiming the king of Babylon will not come against you in this land?" They lied. But my thing is, does Zedekiah believe him? Does he believe Jeremiah, or does he believe these other prophets? Even though he did spare Jeremiah's life, it makes me question that. And also, it makes me think that Zedekiah is a very weak king. Extremely weak.